Hi everyone, this is an unboxing of a VarioUltra 40. This is a very big box. I have taken off the sellotape. I'm now going to open it up. And inside we have another box, much smaller one, in the middle. And then there's some stuff underneath that in the rest of the box. I think the middle part is the most exciting part in the smaller box. Take the lid off that. Hang on. Yes, here we have a Braille display. So in the smaller box that protects the Braille display, there's actually a sponge underneath and to either side, and actually on top of most of the Braille display when it's closed, and it's that sort of bobbly sponge, if that makes sense. That's given it good protection on its transit, so I'll take that out. I will come back to describing that in a minute, but I'll tell you what's in the rest of the box first. So I'm going to take out the smaller sponge-filled box, because I've now taken the VarioUltra out of the box. So I'll take out this smaller box, put that over there, and underneath it we've got the case and a strap in a plastic bag, and then we've also got a USB-C cable for charging it, and a box full of, let's see, stuff. This is a smaller box, a much smaller box. It's got a block where you can plug in a USB cable. With it we've got plugs for different countries, so there's European, US and UK plugs. So I'm going to take out the UK one. I don't need the others at the moment. I suppose it'd be handy if you are going abroad, because you could swap it over. Although I probably won't really use this much because I've got other USB things. And you slide this little plug thing onto the block with the USB port in it, and it sticks on. Let's see. There we go. That's stuck on. That lets you charge it. I think that's quite good, because I know some phones now don't come with something you can plug into the wall socket. They say it's an environmental thing, but I think it's a money-saving thing, to be honest. And yes, I'm cynical. I've closed the plug box, put the other ones in, and we've got one more thing in the box, which is a print manual of some sort. This is a great product, but why are they sending a Braille display with a print manual and not a Braille one? And I imagine it must be a large print one, because it's sort of A4 sized and quite thick, unless it's in lots of languages, but manuals that aren't large print are usually much smaller. So now I'm going to reassemble this box, and I'll tell you a bit more about this device and the case, because they're the interesting bits to me. It's very exciting. So, that's that box moved. The VarioUltra itself, it's quite a narrow device, long and narrow. I think it said on the website it's 12 inches long. It has a Braille at the very front it's got a sloping edge that slopes up towards where the line of Braille display is. On that edge you have, I'm going to go from the middle, so in the middle there's a directional joypad, joystick. I don't know, it's more of it's like a flat round thing, and you can go up, down, left and right with that and press the middle for enter. On the left and right hand side of that, you've got 2 spacebar buttons. These are called B9 and B10 when you are reading about commands, and I've read quite a lot. And then on the left hand side and right hand side of those space bars, you have 2 system buttons, S1, S2, and S3 and S4. And then the rest of the sloping bit is just smooth. And then on the top of it, still near the front, but flat now rather than sloping, there's 40-cell Braille-Display. And then above the Braille-Display, there are cursor routing buttons above each cell. On the left hand and right hand end of the Braille-Display and cursor routing keys, there's buttons on the left called D1, D2 and D3, and on the right hand side D4, D5 and D6, and they do different things depending on what you're doing. And then further back you have the Braille keyboard, which is slightly more raised than the Braille-Display. Going from the middle on the left from centre, there's dots 1, 2, 3 and 7, so you could press those with the 4 fingers on your left hand and then the space with your thumb. And then on the right hand side, going from the middle, dots 4, 5, 6 and 8. And that sounds illogical unless you know Braille and you know that for however many years we've always had dots 1, 2, 3 on the left and dots 4, 5, 6 on the right, and 7 and 8 are additions much more recently, and that's why they're 7 and 8 and not 4 and 8, because we've already got dot 4 on the right hand side. Then on the front ends of the device, slightly round the corners, there's a bit of string attached on each end to a little clip. And the clips are like those on a bum bag or a rucksack. The strap that you get with it, that's quite slim and it's adjustable, the other parts of the clip are on each end of the strap. So they'll go in like this. That's the right hand end, and then the left hand end. And as I say, adjustable strap, which is excellent, because depending on what you're doing and where you are and things, you might want it round your neck at different heights. It's quite light, by the way, this device. It's 500 and something grams, so about a pound in weight, I think. I'll just take that strap off because then I can put the case on. So the case is made of, I think, fake leather. Feels very, very posh. It's got, I think, some sponge underneath the leather or plastic or whatever it is to give extra padding. And it does up. There's a flap that comes over the front and underneath. That flap has magnets on each end and one in the middle, so when you close it, it goes like that. There are spaces in the case so that you still have access to the things on the left and right hand end of the VarioUltra. On the left hand end, you have a USB port where you can plug in thumb drives and things like that. So I think that's a USB-A port, the traditional one like you get on most computers, apart from now they seem to be swapping over to USB-C, but the sort you've had on computers for years and years before that. That's furthest back, and then the next socket on that end is a USB-C socket where you can plug in your power cable, or you can connect to your computer. And it will still charge when it's connected to the computer, but slower. Then there are two switches. The one at the back swaps between note taker mode, which is the mode where anything you're doing on the device happens, and then Braille-Display mode, which is where the device, the Vario, acts as an input-output device for your phone or your computer or your tablet. So you can type Braille in and you can read Braille, but all the actual stuff goes on your phone or computer. And then there is also a locking switch. That's the second one. So if you are taking it somewhere and you're worried about accidentally pressing buttons or something, you can move the lock switch. And I had a problem with the lock switch. For a while I wasn't sure how to unlock it, and when you first get it, it is locked. I've unlocked it now, but if I want to lock it again, I do the switch and you will hear it click. And then I'll unlock it again. And the Braille-Display and note taker mode switch is the same. Yeah, the second click was my nail hitting the switch, so that's what it actually sounds like. And then at the other end, the right-hand end, most of that, there's not much there, but near the front on the right, there is the on-off switch. So now I'm going to put this in the case so it's all nicely protected. On the case, there is an undone part on the right-hand edge where I said there isn't anything in terms of switches. And it allows you to push the device into the rest of the case without stretching the case really, and then you just do up the press stud that's on the right hand end. There we go, that's done. And now it's all protected, and then I'm going to put the strap back on. I mean, it's good that you can use it without the case, but I think it's better to have the case really most of the time, for me anyway. So the left hand end strap and the right hand end. So now I'm going to switch it on. It's telling me it's starting Bluetooth to connect to one of my phones. Before I did this part of the recording, I've already paired this to 3 devices. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. It was pretty straightforward though. What I am going to show you is I'm going to go into the Braille note taker mode and just show you what's on there, because it's good to know what else you can do with this, as well as using it with a phone. So that's me moving between lines. And the ch-ch-ch noise is the Braille moving. There's a word processor which allows you to open Word files, PowerPoints, and Braille files, RTF files, text files. There's a PDF viewer which does what it says, and Braille in that can be actually better than if you view a PDF from your phone, because the formatting then won't be very good. Then there's Excel viewer for spreadsheets. I'm not sure that you can edit them. I don't know, I haven't played with that, but you can certainly view them. Then there's a calculator, which from some of the reading I've done of the manuals has some quite complex scientific-y stuff as well, but I haven't played with that. There's timers, and in there you have timer, countdown, and stopwatch, and alarm clocks. Well, I'm not really going to bother with that alarm clocks thing because I can do that on my phone, but it's nice to know it's there. Then if you come out of timers, there's file manager, so you can see what's on your device, and also your memory stick if one's plugged in. So it will call the device flash disk, and then if you've got a memory stick plugged in, it will call it stick. And if you have an extra item in the list. It's called temp. So I'm going to come out of that. And then there's a settings thing where you can set various things like alerts, which is things like the volume of the alerts. That's a lot for things like when you first switch it on, and also not from suspension mode, which I've just switched it on from, but when you first switch it on, when it's been properly powered off, it does play a little tune. How loud you want the alerts, whether you want vibration or not, when, for example, you've connected to another device, and presumably it'll work with things like the alarm as well. Then there's Braille, so there's settings to do with the cursor. There's one called presentation. That's to do with things like left margin, right margin, jump, show messages with word wrap, just things like, and how strong you want the dots to be. Actually, I might alter that, how strong I want the dots to be. At the moment it's medium. High, I don't want high. I'll try low and see what that's like. Okay. Oh yeah, that's be easier on the fingers actually. But I'd probably change it back to medium if I was somewhere cold or something. It'd make it easier to read. There's stuff about the cursor. I've come out of presentation now. There's stuff about the cursor. There's default Braille codes, so that's to do with whether it's contracted or not, whether it's UEB or US Braille, things like that. There's a thing about standard Braille tables. You can hide dots 7 and 8, but I don't like that. I quite like to be able to read them. And there's an active master switch that allows you to turn computer Braille on and off quickly. And I've used that a couple of times because for things like entering the date, and I think possibly for things like the calculator as well, you need to use computer Braille. I'm going to change my dots back to medium actually. Yeah, I prefer medium, so I'll just right arrow to medium in that setting and then go down to OK. I'm not going into massive detail because this is a Braille display rather than an Android device, so really it's not the podcast for masses of detail on all the settings and things. Yeah, there's display settings about how you want things to appear in the menu and whether you want to read what hotkeys for things are after you in the same line as you read them in the menu, which I find very helpful. There's a thing called templates. I'm not sure what that is. Password options, messages. I think that's about how long you want messages to appear on the display for before they go. And then we're back to shortcuts, so I'll come out of there. There's keyboard settings, got date and time settings. That was all fun and games, working out how to enter the date and time when it wasn't right, and I wanted to make sure it was for if I saved things on the device or on the memory stick, because I didn't want them to have all the wrong date and time on them. There's stuff about power management and profiles, which is to do with Braille profiles. Braille-Display mode. I might go into that actually, because that could be relevant to us using this with our phones. But with the date and time, I had to read the manual a couple of times, that bit of the manual, because it's actually US computer Braille that you have to use. And I didn't really know how to do the numbers in US computer Braille, so I had to look that up. It did tell me in the manual, so that was good. Oh, and for anyone worried that I only had a print manual, the dealer who I bought this from did email me the manual so that I could read it as well, so I didn't have to go looking for it on the website. But I would say my only complaint really is, for goodness sake, send people a Braille manual. That box you send is huge. You'd fit one in, Braille-Display mode. There's something about device emulation, which I read about, and that's something you only need to do if there are problems with devices that haven't been updated to work with this VarioUltra 40, so I don't have to worry about that. Then there's something about enable Bluetooth automatically when you switch it on. I haven't switched that on at the moment because I have a key combination for which phone I want to connect to, which automatically turns on Bluetooth anyway. And if I'm in note taker mode, I don't want to be using up the battery with Bluetooth when I'm not even connected to a phone. So I haven't enabled that. Vibrate on device connected. So when it connects to device 1 of my 3, you can connect up to 4. It will vibrate once. When it's connected to device 2, it'll vibrate twice, and device 3 it'll vibrate 3 times. It'll also show a message on the display to show which device it's connected to. Show messages if device was disconnected. That's a good thing, so that's ticked. And then it has a list of my devices that are connected. For example, Galaxy S9 T2, I think T must stand for terminal, and it says Braille 50 milliseconds, HID 60 milliseconds, HID table Apple US 2H. I don't know why it says Apple when it's an Android phone, but there we go. It's paired. And then Fiona's S20 FE is T3, and that's Braille 50 ms, HID 60 ms, HID table Apple US .2 .U2H. I'm not entirely sure what all that means, but that's paired, and there isn't a device 4 because that's I haven't actually done that yet, so I'll cancel that now. And then system, you can do updates, you can do disk cleanup, and you can reset the device. And then we're back to alerts. So that's all the settings. Then there is a help thing you can go into. And then we're back to word processing. So just a short recap, the things it gives you are word processor, PDF viewer, Excel viewer, calculator, timers, which includes stopwatch, file manager, settings, and help. That's the unboxing and the description. Oh, and one thing I should have said as well is that there is a sticker on the underside with an 8-digit serial number. You can also view that in the, I think it's in the help section, but obviously if you had problems with it and it needed to be repaired and you couldn't actually open your help file because the whole thing was broken, it's very handy to have the serial number brailled on the underside. Now my phones have both just completely died because I haven't been very organised, but what I'll do quickly is I'll just go into the word processor and I'll type something so that you can hear what the keyboard sounds like. And we're in a new document and I'm going to type, "Hello blind Android users, this is my Vario demo." Do close. Do I want to save before closing? I'm going to say no because this is rubbish. And now I want to do file menu and open something just so I can go up and down in a document so that you can hear what that sounds like. I'll open something from my preaching folder, a service that I prepared. So if I open that, and just go, oh no, it's still opening it. And now it's opened it, so I'm going to go, it says the 21st of August 2022. Going down, and it says 11 a.m. and the church where it's held. I've gone down a couple of lines because there was a blank line. Welcome and call to worship. Down a line again. We meet in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I've had to go, because the print line of text is longer than 40 cells, I used D5, the pan right key, to pan to the rest of the line without going down a line of text, of printed text. And I've done it again. And then it says, we begin by singing our first hymn about worship and... Now, the next line is not yet, but the Braille's finished, so press D5 again. Prayer, O worship the Lord in the beauty of... And then press D5 again. Holiness. So I've gone down a couple, and then I've actually got the hymn words on here. So if I just read those and just see if you can hear the sound. Now I'll do it with using the D5 panning key rather than the downward joypad. So there you go. The hymn lines are presented beautifully, whereas when I read them via a phone, they're just all in one big sort of paragraph with no line breaks, apart from when there's a new paragraph. The formatting is not very good, and that applies to Android and Apple phones. So putting files onto this Braille-Display for things like hymns, poetry, etc. is a very good idea. There's 32 gigs of memory, and this device doesn't go online or anything on its own. It doesn't play audio files, so you only really need to save things like text, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF, that type of file. So 32 gigs should last a very long time, and when I bought this, the dealer I bought it from said he's never known anybody to run out of space. So there you go, a quick tour of the VarioUltra 40 Braille display.